For today's video, I'm just doing a simple demonstration on note entry in Music Jotter. So note entry is different from what you are typically used to in Music Jotter, and the reason is because the default note entry is not ruler based, which means that it's not going to place rests while you're inputting your notes. And this does something for you when you compose music. It makes the feel, in my opinion, it makes it feel a lot more fluid and more natural. So let me show you what I mean. You can see as you're entering in notes, rests are not added for you automatically. And this leaves a very fluid feel, and it doesn't interrupt your composition process. Another benefit of this type of entry is that you can add notes in between other notes without having to worry about rests getting into your way. So I'm going to demonstrate that too. First, let me just make the measure a little bit wider. Okay, and I'm going to put it into a different layout. Let's say ledger. Yeah, okay. I'm going to lock the layout. So as you can see, if I want to enter in a note in between another note, all I have to do is, just add the note, and you don't have to worry about rests getting into your way. And I think that this is a fluid method of note entry. Furthermore, when you're entering in notes, all you have to worry about is one entry mode. So for example, you click on a note, you get this note cursor, and you can do a lot of things with this note cursor. You can, of course, enter in a note. You can left click to delete a note. You can add a chord by locking your note in place. You'll see your note lock in place automatically. So this will indicate that you're adding in chords. And the same thing with rests. If you click on a rest, it's the same mode here. You can enter in rest in between notes if you want. You can delete by just a right click. And there you go. It's a very fluid feel. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of this type of entry. And there are, of course, pros and cons. And I'm going to just talk about some of the issues with this type of note entry. And that has to do with if you're used to rests being placed, it's kind of like guiding you to show you like the number of beats in a measure. And if you're not used to this type of note entry mode, basically the lack of hand holding, you might get a little intimidated. For example, I'll show you an example. So as you're entering in, let's say, a quarter note, in most of your notation programs, when you enter in, you'll see all the rests at this point. If I start adding in quarter notes into Music Jotter with this current method, you're not going to see any rests being placed. So you don't have any indication of how many notes you can enter in at this point. Now, if you do a hard refresh, Music Jotter will auto-calculate those rests for you. So that's one way to do it, like if you're not sure. But it doesn't add rests while you're inputting notes, and that could be a con for you if you're not used to this method, because basically it doesn't handhold you. And if you are a new composer, then this might be a little intimidating. But you can see when I refresh Music Jotter, it adds those notes for you. It adds those rests for you. So that's a con, and a con that I could think of. But in terms of like the pros, if you're experimenting, like if you don't know what you want to put down right now, let's say you're not engraving music, but you're experimenting. Let's say you're experimenting on a MIDI piano. or some MIDI instrument. This will allow for experimentation. And that's really what I designed Music Jotter for, to help you with the flow of music composition. So entering in notes like this without any rest getting in the way is perfect for experimentation and for composers who are literally just composing from nothing. Like there's no, you're not engraving anything. You're coming up. It's your creative process right now, basically. So that's what this mode will help you with. And pretend I'm in let's say if I'm on like a MIDI keyboard right now, you can put a note over a certain measure and start playing, and it would enter in notes the same way as left clicking. So that's one of the benefits of this note entry method that I designed for this program. It will help you with that style of composition. Yes? What's up? You forgot to tell your audience to hit that thumbs up button and to subscribe if this method of note entry could help them with their composition process. Ooh. That's what's up. Yeah, I forgot to do that. So yeah, if you think that this method of note entry can help you with your music composition, then yeah, definitely hit that thumbs up button and subscribe, and do like the man said. Down the line, like I probably will have a ruler mode for you, but you can switch back and forth. If there's only one method, which is a ruler mode, I find that very restricting, and I'd rather have this mode here as the default, and then have the ruler mode as basically an engraver tool, or maybe I'll call it like engraving mode or something like that. But this mode here helps you with the actual composition process. Okay, let's go over some other mechanics of note entry. So if you click on this note tab, you have normal notes, petite notes, and then you have your grace notes, your attaccatura and appoggiaturas. The attaccatura and the appoggiatura are fully functional, and they play back the way that they're intended. So that's cool. I'm not going to go over what they are in this video, but they're there for you, so you can enter in your appoggiaturas like this. And basically every appoggiatura or grace note will need a principal note to basically complete the number of notes in this measure. So this essentially is one beat. All of these auxiliary notes plus the principal note equal to one beat. So you can still fit 4 beats into this measure. Yeah. So if I add, let's say, attaccatura, you can just start placing them anywhere you want, and it doesn't affect, like, the grace notes don't affect the number of notes, the number of total beats that you can fit in the measure. So that's basically a quick definition of it. They're basically ornaments. So they help give your music a little bit more of a character. And that's the note entry for grace notes. And then the attaccatura like this. It's the same thing. I mean, it's a grace note. It's a different type of grace note. I'll explain that in other videos. But that's how you do the attaccatura. They do have different mechanics. Like this. Cool. So that's a note entry for grace notes. And then you can also enter in petite notes as well. So a petite note could be, let's say you have an orchestral work combined with, let's say, like different parts. You can designate different parts with petite notes. Or Chopin actually used petite notes in some of his piano writing to maybe make emphasis on certain phrases. I know in one of his etudes he used a combination of normal notes with petite notes. And I believe he did that for emphasis. So he did something like this. I think it was a it might have been a quintuplet. So he did something like this. Then he clicks on the petite note, and then you can do something like this. So you can mix and match notes at your will. And remember, you can insert notes in between. So you could do something like that. So if you want to enter in 2 normal notes like this, and you're like, you know what, I want something in between these notes. And let's say I want them petite notes. You can do that using this note entry method. So that's another benefit of this style of entry methods. You put notes in between other notes. It's very powerful. And you can even do this with tuplets, as you see. As I add in the notes, it doesn't add in that mask of rests, basically, which, in my opinion, that slows down the process. It doesn't allow for experimentation. So if I'm experimenting on a piano and I want to enter in notes through that piano, I just want the notes to be entered very quickly as I'm playing to get my composition down, so then I can start experimenting and seeing like if this is what I want as part of my composition. But if it's entering in a mask of rest, that just slows down the creative thinking process. So that's another benefit of this style of note entry. And of course, as you're entering in notes, you can continue to click and make adjustments, those fine adjustments, which I find pretty nice. And you can also hover over a note, you'll see the hand pop up, and then you can just adjust as you continue to compose. And it's all in the same mode. You're still on the note, basically. You still have this note selected here. Whether it's a triplet, whether it's a tuplet, or whether it's a normal note, or a petite note, or even a grace note, it's basically all the same. Where you click on a note, you can drag, and then you can start editing the note and making those fine adjustments. The same mode, all the same mode here. So that's the note entry system in Music Jotter. And I find it to be a pretty powerful method for experimentation. This, along with the ruler mode that I will create eventually, will make a powerful combination. It'll help those who are used to the other note entry methods, but it'll be a powerful tool for when you get out of the habit of using it as an engraver and making use of the notation editor entry system to help encourage experimentation when composing music. It could help you even write better music because it encourages for that creativity while you're putting in the notes. So that's a quick demo of note entry in Music Jotter. Very unpolished, but I just wanted to give a quick overview of the work that I put into the note entry and how it can benefit you as a composer. All right, see you later.